Hi folks, we're going to make a very simple custom character using only Make Human, a free open source character creator in which you can create characters that are free to use in games, including commercial games. The characters you create become your property and they upload fine to Unity when you properly export them. I decided to make this short series on character creation for Game Creator because the mechanic for importing characters with Game Creator is so simple. It's just a drag and drop once you have working models. The trick is to have working models though. So let's get started. I've just opened Make Human, made him fully male over here under gender, made him fully male, and put on some basic underpants to keep the prudish US censors happy, even though this is basically a Malibu Ken doll. You can go through each category and make many tweaks to your model, and you should really explore this because it is a very nice piece of software. I'm going to go through the modeling rather fast as there are other tutorials on how to use Make Human out there. Okay, so once you have the basic shapes you like for your character, I have a few recommendations and a few things you simply must do for this model to work as of right now. One caveat, all of this changes a lot over the course of time. I cannot tell you how many videos I've watched and followed only to find they no longer work the way the presenter demonstrates. I will do updates if I find that this method no longer works. Now, use the low poly eyeballs. You'll find them in geometries, and you kind of have to, I'm sorry, you have to look through here at the tabs. Eyes is the second thing. I'll get to close in a minute. But click on the eyes tab, and there's a choice of none, high poly, or low poly. Definitely check low poly, even if you're not doing a low poly model. For some reason, the high poly models look very light in Unity or very dark in Unity. So it's just one of those things. The other thing is the hair is generally terrible. It only looks decent on the female of gender or gender neutral characters. That's my personal opinion. You only need teeth if you are going to have a very close up sort of game. Think twice about teeth, tongue, eyelashes because they just add polygons to your model for nearly no purpose, unless you're going for realism and will have a lot of close up interactions. Now, topologies is where you kind of get a little bit more definition on the actual doll. Um, so you can use this. You'll also notice there are low poly options here, and then there are some sort of basics. I tend to use the male generic here. I prefer it because it does give a little bit more definition to the actual character. Definitely use eyebrows. It gives a lot more expression to the face, even if it's a far away model, which mine won't be super close. So, this one is also personal preference, but I choose that. I generally skip the eyelashes and the tongue. Let's give them some clothes. That's another tab under geometries. Um, I'm going to go with a very simple, these are built in, most of these, a few of these I downloaded from the community site, which is this tab here. It takes a minute to figure it out, but it's not that hard. You'll be able to find a way to do that. I'm just going to go with the male casual suit. Click on that. I'm going to remove the shorts. You click on that to remove it. And I'm going to give him some shoes too. That's pretty much as far as I'm going to go with that. All right, so the next thing that's kind of important here is we'll zoom in on his face a little bit. I'm using the mouse wheel. Go to materials, and we're on skin under human. And you need to choose the skin of your character. Now this, you have to scroll down here. This is a young Caucasian-ish male, so I'm going to look for that. And I'm going to go with this number 2. And the next thing that is really, really important is go to pose animate in the tab next to materials. You can zoom out for this a bit just so you can see it. Um, it's really important that you choose the game engine rig. This is the preset rig that will allow your character to be animated by Game Creator and Unity. Um, so, um, what I would also do is choose a pose, and the pose needs to be T pose. At least that's my recommendation. I've had way more luck getting models to work when I use this industry standard. I recommend saving your model at this point. So go to Files, Save. Let's name him Pete. Oops, only I'm going to create a new folder. I have one here on the desktop called Dave that I practice with. Let's make a new folder and call it Pete. And we'll open that and we're going to name him Pete. Just to be easy. Boom. Okay. Now that's just saving the make human file. Here's the next thing you need to do. This way you can make adjustments to it later if you decide to. Now, in order to use this, we actually have to export it. So we need to select the file Export tab next to Save. Now, the next step is we're going to select Filmbox FBX. That's the format that Unity can see and use. And this is another very important thing. The default is set to decimeter, but you need to set it to meter because that is the scale unit that Unity uses. So it will work properly with Game Creator. Let's rename this. We're going to send it into Pete here. We'll just name it Pete, and it's going to give it the suffix FBX. Save it. You'll see it export, depending on how fast your system is. It did say the mesh exported successfully. Okay, I'm back in Unity now, and I've set up a default player character and tested it to make sure it's working the way I want. Importing Pete will be super easy. Let's create a file in a little character folder I made, and we'll call it Pete. So let's create this file, create folder. I'm just going to name it Pete. Enter. We'll open up this file, so we'll have some place to drag and drop folders or files. All right, so let's see what Make Human exported to my Pete file. Open that up. All right, so this is the Make Human file. It's a backup, right? Here's the UV. There's even a thumbnail for the MHM file. The two files we're going to need is textures. So grab the texture in, textures and Pete FBX. So drag the textures into our Pete folder in Unity, and then drag the Pete.fbx file into the folder in Unity, and you're going to get this little setup here. Materials using the texture as a normal map. The texture must be marked as a normal map in the import settings. So just fix now. Easy as that. Thank you, Unity. All right. So now select the FBX, and in your Pete import settings under rig, change the animation type from generic to humanoid. This is the thing that most people miss, and it's one thing that I forget too sometimes. After you change it to humanoid, click apply. It has to be applied or it really won't work. Now, if you can open up your Pete file here to see all of the different things that are in it. As long as these textures look colored, then you have the right thing going on. I'm using the built-in render pipeline. So if you're using something else, another render pipeline like URP or something, then you probably will have to do some work on your materials. I'm not going to go into that here though. All right, so we've got Pete, we've got his textures. That's why this shows up properly. Now, click on your player, and this may be closed up here. I'm going to just close it up so you'll see what you may see. You're going to go to Character Animator first. Open that up. And if this isn't open, open Character Model. And this box here where it says Drop Your 3D Model, that's where you're going to import your character. So take Pete, grab Pete over here, click and drag, and drop him in there. Now your character should change from the default character to your character, in my case, Pete. Test it to see if it's working correctly. Looks good. Okay, so one of the things that I've seen that's is a bit of a problem is sometimes the characters' knees are buckled or they look kind of funny, like they're crouched over or something. So what you would do for in that case is to go back to your player, click on player, and you're going to go down to character controller here. Open that up, and you might need to change the radius or height. And if you'll notice here, there's like a green box around your character. That's their collider. So if the collider is too short for your character, then you need to raise the height. So just raise it up like 2.2, 2.3. It's not going to hurt anything. I often have it at 2.1, and it reduces that bent knee effect. It looks pretty good though. That's it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to see the next couple of videos on creating characters. Bye, folks.